Welcome back. I am standing in my plowed area. It has not been limed or amended yet, and there's a reason for that. It's because I am going to do a soil sample. I have the instructions here from Logan Labs, and I am going to do an analysis that shows us, well, they're going to do the analysis, but I am going to do the really hard part of digging up some dirt and putting it in a Ziploc bag and having my wife mail it so they can do an analysis which will show us what is in this ground already, what the distribution of elements is, the micronutrients, etc., so we can try to balance and figure out what we have here. And we'll also find out what the pH is, because the pH meter I borrowed, I just totally don't trust it at all. So let's dig up some soil, put it in this bag, mail it off, and then we will see what we get. So we're going to dig down a little bit. Should be in kind of the 6-inch range. We're going to try to avoid any obvious huge rocks, sticks, etc. And I need to take some samples from a few different areas. It's got to be 2 cups total. It can be wet or dry, and they're going to deal with it. So we're going to take some of this from here. This is a 1/2 cup measure, so I'm going to take 4 samples from different areas of this field, in case, you know, somebody might have lit a fire at one point here, or could have dumped extra fertilizer here when it was a lawn or something like that. So we'll take a bit from here, and then we'll go find another spot, and we'll take a bit from there, and we'll do it 3 more times, and then we'll mail this thing off.
There's a ton of organic matter in here.
I'm just going to pick the last few pieces of grass out of here, but that is enough of a sample for them to do their magic. So I'll bundle this up and I'll fill out the little worksheet, and I'm going to get the standard soil test with extras so we can get some more of the micronutrients measured in the ground, so we can figure out the little bits and pieces that make vegetables taste absolutely great that might be overlooked if we were doing the normal NPK commercial farming type thing. So I'm going to give this to my wife and have her mail it in, and then we're going to get to see the exciting results in about a week or so. I got my soil test results back from Logan Labs, and I sent it over to Steve Solomon this morning. Steve told me he's never seen such poor soil in his life. The organic matter content is less than 2%. It's short on just about everything except for aluminum, which you don't want really or need. And it's pretty sad. So he's put together a recipe for me for remineralization of the soil and to get stuff going. And there's a lot of the practices I already do, like adding seaweed and making compost and making fetid swamp water and all these kind of things. These will help. But I need to get the macro and the micros going really quickly, and because this is new ground, it's obviously not ideal, you know, to wait around for a year to make enough compost, that kind of thing. I don't really have that sort of thing ready to go. And also, you don't want to just buy compost and put it down. Even just this week, a fellow sent me some photos. He had put mushroom compost on his garden. The leaves of the plants were curling and twisted, so it's obvious that the amino pyrrolate problem is all over the place. So you can't trust hay, straw, purchased compost. You can't trust manure, you know, it's because they're spraying these long-term persistent herbicides. So right now I'm on my way to the feed store to go get some extra stuff to add to this super secret recipe that Steve Solomon sent me, including some cottonseed meal and some dolomite. So we're going to go do that today because I didn't have quite enough already on hand to get things started. So I've got my list here of bits and pieces that Steve Solomon sent to me, and then I have my soil report, which shows that I have horrible soil. So I've got Steve right now on Skype, and I am going to call him. And we'll talk about this mess. All right, for those of you guys that don't know Steve Solomon, he's my gardening mentor, and he is way more into the nerdy side of balancing soil and all that. So I got the soil test. You know me, I like to just throw stuff on the ground and let it rot. I like to just gather seaweed from the beach and throw it down. But Steve has approached it more scientifically in his book, The Intelligent Gardener, and in a lot of other writing. So I sent you the soil report this morning, and you said that it was pretty much the worst soil you've ever seen.
That was the poorest soil I have ever seen.
So we we have to fix it. Okay, so what we have here is 2,500 grams of cottonseed meal.
Yeah, you always want to start with the seed meal.
Okay, so I have got bags
of it. Put that at the bottom of the bucket.
All right. So
and I'll tell you, it'll be around 4 quarts.
Around 4 quarts? I'd rather do that than measure it, so...
Well, I'd like you to measure a quart, and then we'll see how many quarts it's going to be.
Sounds good. I just got back from the feed store. I've been to multiple feed stores now and asking them for weird stuff, and they keep looking in the back, and I just tell them, I got this really smart friend, and he says it'll make my turnips taste better. So, all right, so that is
1 quart. What does that weigh?
That is 645 grams, but I was over a quart.
6 times 4 is 24, so it'd be a scant 4. Let's just say 4.
Right. And I'm going to heat this one. That takes us up to 25 and 26. 25, 26.
Yeah, it's a little over. In this game, David, anything plus or minus 10% is close enough.
Okay, so we're good. So our next one is 500 grams of dolomite lime.
That's right.
And I
imagine it's going to be about a scant pint, but I'm not sure.
I want to see if I actually have the right... I'm not sure I have the right thing here. I have pelletized gypsum, and I have garden lime, and the garden lime is fine.
No, that's not dolomite either. That's calcium lime.
So this one says fine pulverized limestone.
Yeah, that's right.
So fine pulverized limestone, it says natural source of calcium and magnesium. That's not the right one.
Well, there shouldn't be. Has it got an analysis on the back of the bag, David?
I'm going to check here.
Take a look.
Let's see. Yes, we got calcium 32%, magnesium 4.3, calcium oxide 44.8.
Yeah, you can use that. What you do is just put in the full weight of the dolomite and the ag lime together.
It's 750 grams of ag lime.
Yeah, and 500 grams of dolomite. So you're going to put 1,250 grams of this stuff in there.
1,250. All right.
Which I predict will be a quart.
Okay.
Put that right on top of the canola, of the cottonseed meal.
I will. I'll use this one and dump it in. 1,250.
Yeah.
And this stuff is a lot heavier than the cottonseed, so I see why you're saying that.
Oh yeah, it sure is.
It's 1,201. Oh, you're very close.
Perfect. That's perfect. Don't worry about it.
Okay, so we'll say one quart.
1 quart. Yep.
All right. So now the next thing I have is pelletized gypsum.
Yep.
And this is...
How much I said to put in there? 250 grams or 500 grams or
You've
something?
got 450.
Yeah. So that would be a third of a quart. That would be
I see how you're doing
10
that.
ounces.
But it is pelletized, so it may be a little lighter. Let's see
Maybe,
what we got.
Yeah, they might be. There'd be more air.
I'll do it by the cup and we'll see.
All right.
Agricultural gypsum. It's like exactly 2 cups. It's
Okay.
449.
Very good.
2
Yeah,
cups.
Those pellets make a lot of airspace.
Yep.
If it was
Pelletized.
powder, it would have about the same density as your agma.
Now the next thing I've got here is the 750 grams colloidal soft rock phosphate or high phosphate guano or RRP or
That's reactive rock phosphate, or you're using bone meal.
750 of bone meal.
Yeah.
Woo! Makes a
Yeah,
lot
it's
of dust.
dusty. It smells nice too.
I'm gonna try not to breathe it.
Four cups?
Woo! 3.5.
Yep.
3.5 takes us to 800.
Yep, that's good.
Okay. And 3.5 cups bone meal. Okay, so now we're up to the potassium. Okay, so we've got 240 grams potassium sulfate.
That's right. That's about 100 pounds to the acre of actual potassium.
Wow. Okay.
A farmer would understand that.
So let's see. This is I have a 1/4 cup and 1/3 of a cup. My cup is getting dirty.
It'd probably be around a half a cup.
And 1/2 cup. All right. Let's see what we got. That is 200. So
A generous half a cup.
yeah, a generous 1/2 cup, rounded 1/2 cup.
There you go.
So when I went to the store and I asked them for boron, they gave me this flaky rock-like stuff. It's like
Yep.
little flakes. It doesn't look like.
Yeah, that's a mine. If it's borax, that's a natural mine product. It's mined in Death Valley, California.
Okay, so I have a teaspoon measure here.
You're
And
probably going to find it's more like a generous tablespoon.
generous tablespoon. Let's give it a try. Oh yeah, it's like a tablespoon and a half. Okay.
Okay.
2/3 of a cup. And then this is 1.5 tbsp. That's easy. Okay, so the next thing I have is the manganese sulfate at 30 grams.
Yep. 30
And-
grams. So that'll probably be about 2 tablespoons. But
Got
Yep.
that. This is from Alpha Chemical.
yep.
About 2. Yeah, right about 2. Wow, that's a fine dust there. 2 tablespoons.
My guess.
And it's pretty light.
You know. Again, it's sort of like that pelletized gypsum you have. It has a lot to do with how it's ground as to what its bulk density actually is.
Okay, that was right. That took us to 32 tbsp. All right. All right, so I have zinc sulfate. Zinc sulfate is only 12 grams. So that's like a half
Yeah,
of
that
a...
should be about a tablespoon.
All right. That's 14 grams, and I haven't hit that tablespoon yet.
Oh, so it's
So
going to be a couple of teaspoons full.
Yeah, it's about 2/3 of a tablespoon.
Yeah, that's 2 teaspoons.
Okay. 2 teaspoons.
Yeah. And you want to measure copper probably with a teaspoon.
Okay. Now that's what I got next. Right. We got this. I've got enough copper sulfate to last a while.
Yeah, that'll be it.
In case I get attacked by giant fungi. It's basically teaspoon and 2/3, almost 2 teaspoons.
Yeah, I'll call it 2 teaspoons. It won't hurt to have a bit more copper in there, so
Okay.
make it
2
simple for yourself.
teaspoons.
You want to be careful with copper, though. If you put 2 or 3 tablespoons into that same area, you might fry all the biology in the pit.
Yeah, we've used it to treat citrus trees with fungus and all kinds of things.
Yeah, it's highly fungicidal. But in the concentration we're talking about, it won't cause any problem.
So now I've got 400 grams of kelp meal.
Yeah.
So we're back to using our cup measure.
And not only that, we're going to spend some of your money here prolifically.
Oh my gosh, it's expensive.
Yeah, it's very expensive. You know why we're putting it in?
What's that?
Iodine?
What's that?
Iodine.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and also every other element you ever heard of. The whole periodic table of elements just about is in there.
Oh my goodness, it smells so good. Okay, so a quart of this, it looks like I was only about 3/4 of a quart here. Probably
And what is it?
3 cups. 3 cups is 400.
Yeah.
I'm tempted to just go up and dump the whole quart in there.
It won't hurt you.
That's not going to hurt anything. There we go.
No,
1 quart.
Just hurt your pocketbook.
That's
It's
just,
expensive.
it's expensive, but hey, you know, what is your health worth?
That's nearly a pound. You put in almost a pound of kelp meal. You put in like $5 worth of kelp meal in.
Oh my gosh. And that's only going to treat like 1 bed.
That's right. Imagine all those elements in that bucket is all that's missing out of your soil, only over 100 square feet.
Yeah, so this, what we were mixing, which I didn't mention at the beginning, is this is enough to treat a 10-foot by 10-foot area in very, very poor, undernourished, sandy, low exchange capacity soil. This is a sodium molybdate, 1/8 of a teaspoon here.
Yeah, you try that and see if your scale's accurate enough to pick it up as 1 gram.
It's so funny. This scale's doing pretty well so far. It did not pick that up at all.
No. Anyway, you can assume that's a gram, okay?
Okay, 1/8 is a
Take my
gram.
word for it.
And I don't want to do any more than that.
Nope, that's enough.
I think we've got our first batch, and all I've got to do now is just dump it back and forth in between the buckets.
Yeah, no, you stand up a bit and pour it so that it pours a little bit. And there'll be a bit of dust come up, and you have to pour it back and forth about 6 to 8 times.
Oh yeah, we got the dust.
Yeah, you do.
All that cottonseed meal makes me sneeze.
No. Lime also. A lot of that dust is from your lime and your bonemeal.
Oh yes. This is definitely. It kind of looks like the mad scientist, the bubbling carbon dioxide coming off of all of the little vials.
That's right. You could do this out in the garden so that the dust might land on them somewhere where it's useful.
Oh, that's a good idea.
But we're making a
Next
video
time.
now, so.
The first batch is the hardest, but now that I have all the measurements, it's going to be easy.
That's right. And you'll be able to make a batch in just a couple of minutes.
And this will do about one of my beds out there.
That's right. So in my garage, I have 3 20-gallon galvanized garbage cans.
Wow.
And one of them holds seed meal, and one of them holds kelp meal. And then I have a big open bag full of phosphate rock and a big open bag of potassium sulfate, 50-pound bags. And I've got some smaller buckets with the trace elements in them.
That's amazing. I'm going to have to do that.
Laid out conveniently, almost like, like the spices on a kitchen bench.
And it makes your vegetables taste better than anything else.
Well, yeah, when they get in the kitchen, then they really taste good.
Well, I think we got it. It's a nice looking mix now.
Yeah, you mix it until it's pretty uniform, and then you spread it out on the bed fairly uniformly, and hoe it in, till it in, rake it in, spade it in, whatever.
So if somebody was going to make a mix like this, I mean, obviously you've got a ton of information in the Intelligent Gardener. You have the precursor version of it in Gardening When It Counts, because I remember that's the straight ratio version, the kind of fix-all.
Yeah, I didn't know about trace elements when I wrote Gardening When It Counts. I hadn't really learned to be a soil analyst. And
so by the time you got to the Intelligent Gardener, that was when like all of the heavy-duty science of it came out.
That's right.
You know, if somebody gets their soil test from Logan Labs, or from whatever soil testing facility they want, making sure that they test for minors, they'll be able to see how high certain things are, and they could adjust a recipe like this according to what it looks like their soil is. And of course, you've got a lot of stuff on Soil and Health, the Soil and Health website, and a lot of good documentation there.
Yep, thank you for that mention.
Yeah, that's quite valuable. All right, I'll let you go, Steve. Thanks for everything. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, Dave. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
All right, God bless.
See you.
All right, so we're going to go outside and we're going to stick this on the garden because this is for a 10-foot by 10-foot space. And I hope that this kind of ratio thing was useful to all of you guys. If you're dealing with poor sandy soil, this is probably pretty close, but I definitely recommend you get a soil test if you're going to do this. You don't want to overblow it, but you're probably not going to ruin your soil with something like this. Like, you would have to put a lot on. So it's moderately safe. And we only do really safe stuff on this channel. So this bed right here is about 3 feet and a few inches by about 30 feet, which makes it right around 100 square feet, a 10 by 10, which is how much we made to treat. So now we have to somewhat safely distribute this across this whole thing and see how we do. I get the idea for throwing this later. But also, you know, plants, roots go all over the place. So say if I put a little too much in one spot and not enough in another spot, it's not as big a deal as you might think, because the plants will mine for the nutrients they need, and we'll be fine. But apparently I threw too much cottonseed meal, way too much cottonseed meal on my first bed, according to Steve, which is great because I didn't want to buy much more cottonseed meal. It smells like the ocean. The kelp smells so good. I don't know, I love sushi, and I love the taste of seaweed, and I love the smell of the ocean. I mean, it smells like just amazing, salty, sweet, delicious to me. And so this is the initial treatment, and then you can use this stuff as a side dress fertilizer if things look like they need more food later. This should put some life back into the soil here. But you'll have to join me in future videos to find out how it works out. So I know it was a really long video today with a ton of stuff going on in it, and I hope it was helpful to you. I wanted you guys to just have the entire conversation with Steve Solomon, because he's the guy that's got the ideas on this, and like always, I'm perpetually experimenting. And so this is the set of experiments I am doing right now. We've got some beds over here that just have a bunch of cover crops on them, some with tons of cottonseed meal on the end, and I've got more that I'm going to dig. We'll do some experiments with compost and biochar and other things. But right now, we are doing the remineralization experiment, and we're going to see how the vegetables grow over this fall. And I'm glad that you all can join me, because I find this sort of thing very exciting. So thanks for joining me. I will post lots of links below this video, and until next time, may your thumbs always be green.
Buried my rabbit beneath the cherry tree one fine afternoon. Someday I know that we'll meet again on a fruit salad spoon.
I don't know what I'm supposed to say.
Say something funny.
I'm just forking. I'm tapped out, man. Got nothing left. I've given it all. It's just me and this fork in this bed full of weird stuff that I bought from the Mennonites. Got nothing. Except that you can buy these Compost Your Enemies t-shirts online from a real family business in Alabama. I'll put a link below this video. But other than that, I got nothing. Me and a fork and a lime from the Mennonites.